What's been very interesting for me, having visited Saudi a few times now, is an incredible groundswell of creativity and excitement. There is a creativity here that's not been tapped, and I think the opportunity now to unleash it through art, music and culture is going to be fascinating.
I believe that the opportunities that are being offered here in ITRA are really great for the youth in Saudi Arabia, especially that they're bringing global knowledge inside the Eastern Province.
Really opening up ideas around creativity and how that can actually influence the future generation.
Its architecture, just the shape of the building, communicates to the world something really interesting is happening here.
We're all embarking on a transformational sort of a journey. The world's sort of changing, and it's changing very, very quickly.
There's a real energy inside this building. It's packed full of amazing speakers giving really interesting talks from tech to how to design films. This wonderful program of lots of different experts from around the world.
Being able to connect with other people and realize how similar we are, honestly, and how much we can benefit from collaborating together. And I think that's really going to spark a new level of creativity.
Wizard of Oz is the musical theater that tells the iconic story of the MGM movie about Dorothy, who dreams of rainbows and ends up leaving Kansas in a tornado and ends up in the magical world of Oz. In the merry old land of Oz. This show has been to almost 200 theaters throughout the world, and I have to say, there's not any that are as close as world-class as ITHRA. State-of-the-art facility, professional staff, a beautiful, beautiful theater, incredible designs. It's a very, very special venue to be a part in this beautiful part of the world. The magic of storytelling with music and dance, and to bring that to a part of the world where civilization really began.
The Wizard of Oz is the first time that we've used the theatre's full capabilities of its automated line system and orchestra pit. We've had many shows here, but since opening, this is the first time the orchestra pit has been used to its full potential.
The audiences have been so welcoming and so giving. Honestly, I remember on opening night, like we were, as a cast, all pretty emotional. It was an unforgettable experience.
Do my bidding, fly. Fly! Fly!
So Bethany, our stage manager, and she's standing behind this screen where she is watching the show. And so every light cue that happens, every time the bubble comes in with Glinda, or the witch flies, or a different set piece moves in and out, she calls that. So when she gives the go-ahead, all of the crew members move the set pieces in and out, fly Glinda in, truly make the magic happen. Whatever it is, always do what you love, because, you know, through our passions, we are able to create such beauty, and we're able to give that to the world, and that is a gift that can truly be unlike any other.
It was pretty magical when first arriving here to see ITHRA as you're driving around the road, as you lead into the entrance. You almost feel like you're on a magical road to Oz.
I think it's amazing that the program represents a promise of continuous enrichment for the people of Saudi Arabia, and the fact that they are achieving that promise through the arts, through science, and through culture, it's truly spectacular. Probably one of the best words to describe ITHRA is magical.
We bring a team of coaches from Barcelona. They are specialized in handling blind players. Some of those coaches participate in the Spanish national team as goalkeepers or as coaches.
Well, we try to make it a very playful environment and also a learning environment. Our balls, they have bells inside them so that they know where they're rolling, where they're moving around. And also to communicate between each other, especially if you're attacking. The most important and the number one rule, I'd say, in blind football is to use the word void when you're attacking, and to let everyone know where you are at that moment. Because if not, there will be collisions, there will be accidents, which we don't want to happen. Apart from that, we also, players would play around putting their arm up to avoid collisions and to avoid getting hit in the face.
Yes. Okay. See?
Once they know the sound from left and right and center, by clapping or by just banging on the side post, the player is ready to take a kick.
أعتقد كتجربة مميزة جدا. أول شيء تجربة بالنسبة لنا احنا كمدربين ورياضيين، بالعكس تكون الحالة الذهنية حاضرة باستمرار، اعتمادك كثير على حاسة السمع، يعني تحفظ مساراتك خطواتك، وهذا مفيد بالنسبة لنا احنا.
طبعا تجربة جدا جميلة صراحة، بالنسبة انه تجرب شيء جديد عليك انت شخصيا كإنسان مبصر طبيعي، تلاقي فيها صعوبة جدا كبيرة. أصعب شيء التوازن، شيء طبيعي انه يكون في المقام الأول التوازن يعني. أما الأشياء الثانية مع الوقت تتعود عليها لو بشكل بسيط يعني.
I think this is one of the most important events that take place. It makes people more aware, and I think that is the most important thing that the center, IFRA, could provide.
Rising from the sand of Saudi Arabia, a structure designed to make history.
The first time I saw this project, I was just overwhelmed. You have organic, free-form shapes.
Nothing like it has ever been attempted.
This is the most experimental, deep dive into technologies that we've ever done.
The stakes are enormous.
The question is not what is difficult, the question is what is not difficult.
The pressure is unrelenting.
You know what's the plan. Somebody can do it faster than me.
A lot of confusion, a lot of tension.
There was some kind of communication problem or something.
Engineers, you bring them something simple, they will complain. You bring them something complex, they will complain.
But if builders succeed, they'll help propel this nation towards a bright future.
These young children, they are the future leaders, innovators. They are the future Saudi.
And unveil a new wonder of the world.
People will wonder, how is it built? How is it done?
wouldn't it be kind of fun to see if you could add just the right technology to the human mind and the body and fly in that way? Use the mind from the balance point of view and the body from the just leaning on the thrust point of view. See it live and you feel that 1,000 horsepower hitting you in the chest, and then see a human being rise up and move around in such a fluid, sort of smooth way. It tends to have quite a profound effect on people.
You are in a place where you cannot dream as a kid and open your mind, whether it's painting, playing, doing artwork, or whatever it is, then where do you go if you cannot open your mind at a young age, sorry. And that's what I saw today. I was looking around, I saw a lot of kids having fun with their family, which is very important, you know, keeping it as a family thing. And also the fact that, you know, this place will attract people. Not only the locals, but look, I'm here. Some people will come here to see it because it's magnificent, and I encourage people to come and see it, and that's very important.
I think the future of mankind, and frankly the past of mankind as well, has all been about people who are not afraid to go and imagine and create and learn and innovate. All of the problems in the world that we've got, I think, will be addressed most efficiently by people being innovative, collaborating with different cultures and different ideas, not being afraid to experiment, to learn from that experimentation, to play, you know, very relevant to this event this year.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته جميعاً. مساء الخير، مساء اللقاء الختامي في منصة تنوين، واللي جداً سعيدة إن أشوف المسرح ما شاء الله ممتلئ في اللقاء الختامي. متحمسة زي ما الجميع حاضرين، وأتمنى يكون الحماس اليوم في أعلى نقاطه وأعلى مراحله، لأنه اليوم زي أمس زي الثيم أو موسم العام في تنوين حنتكلم عن اللعب. بداية أحب أعرف بنفسي. اسمي سمر سمير، مهندسة كهرباء وحاسب ومطورة أعمال في شركة تقنية. سعيدة جدا بتواجدي اليوم في اللقاء الختامي، أشارككم هذا اللقاء مع نخبة من المتحدثين. عنوان هذا اللقاء اليوم نتكلم فيه عن أدوات اللعب، لكن بداية أحب أتوجه بالشكر الخالص في اللقاء الختامي لمعدين والمنظمين والقائمين على هذا اللقاء. أتمنى تساعدوني نشكرهم على اللقاء الجميل وجميع الجهد المبذول لجعل تنوين محطة مهمة في الموسم اللي صار بتكثر ما شاء الله الفعاليات الموجودة، لكن تنوين قدر يكون لقاء متميز ويفرض وجوده بشكل متميز أيضاً. تمام. أشكرهم كمان على الثيم اللي اختاروه اللي هو مستعدون للعب. اللعب هي دي الحالة اللي مو دايما نلجأ لها فقط عشان نروح عن نفسنا أو ننبسط ونجيب السعادة لما نكون محتاجينها. اللعب أكثر من كذا. تعالوا نراجع شوية ألعاب عملناها في حياتنا، حنلاقي إنه إحنا نستخدم قدراتنا العقلية بطريقة مختلفة، الكريتيكال ثينكينج. حنستخدم حواسنا بطريقة كمان مختلفة، لأنه كلها تتكامل في عملية بحثية. بعد ما نخلص اللعب حنلاقي إنه إحنا صح استنزفنا طاقة كبيرة، عشان كذا نحس بالجوع بعدها، لكن تشبع رغبتنا الفضولية واللي هي الفطرية الموجودة عند الطفل. بس نكبر كمان توجد هذه الفطرة اللي هي حب اللعب، لكن تأخذ أشكال مختلفة. يعني المتحدثين اللي حنشوفهم واللي شفناهم من جميع أنحاء العالم شاركونا نقاط وأحاديث مختلفة على هذا الستيج، أتكلموا في رحلتهم في مختلف المجالات، وكيف كان اللعب ما زال متواجد وحاضر، وكان إضافة لمجالاتهم على اختلافها. اليوم في لقائنا حنتكلم عن أدوات اللعب. زمان يمكن كانت الأدوات بسيطة، كانت أكثر يدوية. أفتكر كنت أشارك أحد الموجودين في جنادرية، كان في ركن صغير لشخص موجود كان من الشمال، كان جايب مجموعة ألعاب اللي كنا زمان نبنيها بيدنا اليدوية، علبة بيبسي، علبة مرندا، نسوي منها عجلات، سوينا منها عربية، النبيلة من مطاط وخشب. هذه الأشياء البسيطة اللي كانت تصنع منها رحلة نستمتع فيها. وكل ما نكبر زي ما ذكرت تأخذ شكل مختلف، إلى أن أخذت في التخصصات مجالات مختلفة، خلت الرحلة البحثية والاكتشافية والإبداعية كمان تأخذ أطوار مختلفة. اليوم اللقاء زي ما ذكرت حيكون عن أدوات اللعب، وأحب أنوه أنه بداية أتكلمت وتحدثت باللغة العربية، لكن الحديث اليوم مع المتحدثين حيكون باللغة والصبغة الإنجليزية. إذا كان أي أحد من الحاضرين حاب أنه يكون مع أداة ترجمة، أتمنى يتواصل مع المتطوعين الموجودين في القاعة حيساعدوه يحصل على أداة الترجمة لاستكمال هذا اللقاء. So now, allow me to switch to English, because our first speaker, who is going to take us to the world of design and the revolutions happening there, not only in school, but mainly or moving forward to the internet. Internet allow these days to be people more connected and resources more accessible for people. And that's need to be more relevant to architecture and design as well, to adapt to what's happening today and really make the complex things more easier. And that's what our next speaker gonna talk about, which is playful algorithm regarding to coding maybe, and more how this can be adapted in architecture. Please help me welcome our next speaker, who is award-winning designer, worked on collectible design objects and art pieces. Our next speaker, Tarek AlKassouf. Please help me welcome him.
مرحبا شكرا لأنكم موجودين هون. أنا جدا سعيد أني موجود على هذه البلاتفورم. I'm really happy being here tonight. It's such a pleasure and honor being part of Tanween this year. We'll be talking tonight about playful algorithms. Just keep in mind we're going to be talking about the tools, playful tools, or the tools of play. If we look everywhere around us in nature, in buildings, in architecture, we always find geometry everywhere, and we find especially in nature really complex geometries. And we think for example, in the photo here, how this aesthetic is made, what's the logic behind it, or what's the algorithm behind it. So we're going to discuss a little bit, trying to understand what's an algorithm, what's when we have a complex geometrical form, how can we simplify it? How can we simplify this complexity and make it more playful and more accessible for us? If you take the flight of a bird and the movement of a bird, we can see the movement has this process in it to move from a position to another. This bird is taking this process to go from point A to point B. The same thing in architecture, or maybe we can call it algorithmic architecture. This is a building, we're going to see buildings in Saudi Arabia. This is the Amraniya Mosque in Riyadh. The forms here, we can see how the forms dialogue between each other, how the proportions between this window is, there's something a hidden mathematic formula. There's a hidden algorithm in those forms. The same thing for Kapsark in Riyadh. The columns, the way they bend, the way they dialogue with the ceiling, they all have something hidden, a hidden code. Again, the King Fahd Library in Riyadh, and my favorite project, Ithra, how the tubes are wrapping around the form, how the window, how the triangulation. There's always something that making these forms make sense, that making these windows adapt to the form, or these tubes embrace the pebble form. So what's an algorithm? To make it really simple, the algorithm, it's a hidden code. It's if we have an input and an output, if we have a recipe to make, the algorithm is the process in between to get all the input, all what we have, and transform it into an output or the final product. Why do we use this? We use it to have really complex final shapes, but we're having really little bit of data. I'm going to explore this idea a little bit more with some of the projects that I did, mainly here in Saudi. The first project is 180 Degrees. 180 Degrees is a product where it's a gift, where we try to give 180 people 180 different gifts, where all these gifts are the same, but none of them look like the other. So 180 Degrees is a sensor burner sitting on a candle holder, where we have 1 degree of rotation every time the item changes to end up with 180 pieces. Each item is rotating 1 degree. To make this concept a little bit clearer, we're going to check this animation. We can see how the cube is rotating around the base. Always the opening here is at the very center of the cube. So we have inputs. There's what we call a pseudocode encoding. Things that we put as rules. We need to if we want to have this final products, because we don't know what's the outcome. We don't know what's going to happen. So we'll have those ingredients and we start playing. We start saying, all right, I have this cube. Let it please rotate 180 degree, keep the center here, and then this base needs to stay here. So somehow we're getting those ingredients, the rotation, the cube itself, all these parameters. And this same project, you can see not just the cube is rotating, even the base here, it's being carved at the exact inclination of the cube. so the cube will sit perfectly in its base. This project has been produced with digital fabrication in a way where what we call a file to factory. So after we write the code and we have the project, we send it directly to the machine, and the machine will just carve it for us. Another project, it's a design installation inspired by Eastern Province. In this design installation, we had 1,000 brick. We needed to create a design installation that represents the Eastern Province. Again, please keep in mind that we always need to have an input, we need to have an output. Our output here is design installation, all right? We need to decide, we decide what's going to be the final form. We are the designers, we are the architects, but then we have the ingredients. What are the ingredients? The ingredients are 1,000 brick. We have a landscape of the Eastern Province that's going to inspire us. We have like those bricks needs to rotate, those bricks needs to have like somehow a wavy form, etc. So let's see what we can do. We have those 1,000 bricks. And then we start like putting some inputs. Let's see if we rotate them on this direction. Let's see if we rotate them on this direction. And at the end, after having all these options, as we can see at the first project that we saw, we had 180 results, all right? And we chose the 180 results. But sometimes we need just one final product, one final installation, like in this case. So we ended up choosing this particular form that we found it represents the best the landscape of the Eastern Province, or mainly one of my favorite landscapes, the Rub al-Khali. Another installation that we did is an installation that's been inspired by Mecca. This particular installation was inspired by the Tawaf ritual, which is like walking around the Kaaba 7 times. In the Tawaf ritual, we have a central element, which is the Kaaba, and we have the people walking around, roaming around the Kaaba. So we have like our parameters, we have our inputs. The output, again, is an installation. So we'll just discuss the concept more. So we have the center one, we have people around it, walking around it, rotating, and then we have all these options. And these options, we can stop here the process, or go back, or choose this particular variation, or the one before. So always we have the freedom, we have the choice to stop the process at any point we want, all right? Again, to make it simple, those 1,000 bricks are the same input that we have in the first installation. The output is also the same, which is having a design installation, but we have two different ideas. Why? Because the algorithm is different. In the first one, the algorithm was like more, like the bricks were more parallel. The algorithm here is more like the bricks are in a radial layout. Here it's like a rotational strategy. There it was more like a wavy strategy. So it's not about just having an input and having an output. It's also the process is super important. The process, like how playful the process is. Again, when we let me show you how we ended up having this this installation. We ended up choosing this variation, the spacing between the bricks. Here, the bricks they are they sit horizontally. In the other design installation, the bricks are vertical. So we're trying to represent something. We try to make like a really strong concept, make it abstract, and try to send this idea to the people who want to be around this design installation. So everyone that saw the installation, we didn't tell them this is Mecca. We didn't tell them this is about Mecca. But then when they knew like this installation represents a part of Saudi Arabia, and then they just made the link. So the algorithm that we used like something parameters that we can get from the movement of the people, or from the centrality of the Kaaba, or from from also the scale of the installation itself. The most important part here is the tools that we used. So it's true that the final representation is pretty complex, but and it's true that we used coding to create the complexity. But then please remember that when we talked at the beginning of the first few slides, we said like algorithm is all about having complex geometries or having complex forms and really little bit of data, and really little bit of input. And the challenge not the challenge, I think this is like the playfulness or the beauty of this process is that we have the freedom of choosing where this process stops. We can choose all of them, we can choose one, we can refuse all of them. Or it's just like in this particular case, the process is sometimes more important than the end result. The process will communicate to the person a better idea than the final product. Again, if we go back to the animation, if you go back to the animation, and then we see all these variations, they are the same, but they're not the same at the same time. This will give us something really important in this era, the mass customization, where we can have all these product that's been developed, or like this installation that has been developed in really small time. The code that we did for 180 pieces, the 180 product that you saw, it took us 3 hours. So in 3 hours, we have designed 180 products. If we're going to use another language to do it, which is like just normal drawing, it's probably going to take a team of 4 to 5 people, probably 30 days, to just draw these 180 pieces. Here, what do we have? We have one person who did the code and then ended up having 180 pieces in 3 hours. What does it mean? It means that the tools that we use are super important. Like, why would architects code? Like, why would designers code? That's not something that you think might be relevant for the discipline. But here, now that we put it in a different perspective, what are the chances? What can we explore through coding? How the language changed from drawing into coding? How we are, and it's not just about changing the language. It's also about how we are approaching this method. Like the playfulness in this method is that I believe it's the best, like the best thing to have. After this project, I would like to finish with this particular one, which is a project inspired by the center itself, ITHRA. And it was a design proposal for a gate for Tanween. In this particular project, we had inputs. Again, we go back to inputs. Those inputs, they were like, we have the tubes that wrap the museum. We had the gate, which is like a person, like let's say 175 centimeters, need to go under it. We had the proportion of the gate regarding the museum, and you have, of course, the theme of Tanween, or what it does, like the message that Tanween wants to transmit to the visitor. So we took some inputs. We said, all right, let's take like a big tube here and a small tube here. Let's try to play with the rotations. Let's try to rotate the 145 degrees on this axis and another 45 degree on this axis. Let's try to link them through other tubes. Let's try to make the entrance for a person. Again, this input is like 175 centimeters. So we have all these input that are refining the final shape. And then the play started. So we have those tubes, and they're starting rotating, they're starting moving. We're trying to decide like what form to do, where does the process stop? I believe the animation help us to understand how we can have all these options, all this catalog of forms, in just like moving some sliders, or like just adapting a code, or just changing through a few parameters, or what we called input. We ended up having this gate, which is like 6.5 meter high, at a human scale, that dialogues with the center, which is like somehow have the same expression, the same aesthetic of the center, and then that will invite the visitor and like just get the message of Tanween, which is like at the end is like the Tanween that we have in the logo that you can see here. Voila, the Tanween here that are in movement. So this Tanween that is in movement represents this like the message of the center, the message of the event itself. Like it's just like when you go inside the event, you learn something, you evolve, and then you go out. So it's like the gate is like a transformation gate somehow. It's like a time gate. Thank you so much. That was the talk for today.
Thank you so much, Tarek. That was really great speech.
Thank you.
And thanks for sharing all the great experience that you very generously shared with everyone here. Now I will open the stage for everyone. If you have any questions for Tarek to share, we have 2 volunteers with a mic. If you have any question.
If you don't mind, if I can add just something.
Sure, please.
Would like to say the fact of being able to code, which is something that we can learn now online through the internet. We don't have to go to expensive design schools that used to be very elitarian. We can just do it from our place, our home, our office. Somehow the borders, there's no more borders. The process became more democratic. There's no limits. Like you can do it from anywhere. You can just learn how to do it, change your language, the way you express yourself. You can keep drawing, you can keep coding, you can do both. Express yourself, it's just a tool. It's just a tool. It simplifies complex geometries, makes it just more like it's someone like writing poetry and just needs to be able to know really good grammar for its poetry to be proper. Doesn't mean if he knows grammar he'll be able to make amazing poetry, but it definitely will help him in the rhyme. It definitely will help him in getting the idea he wants to communicate. Again, sorry,
yes.
That's your time. So
yes, and as you mentioned, it's not exclusive coding. It's not really exclusive for engineers. Although I am an engineer, but it's not really exclusive for us.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is something that could be adapted for all like majors as architects.
Exactly.
And really help and have this impact. You mentioned during the speech that playing with some parameters could make a big magic for you.
Absolutely.
What kind of things that really reflect an architect and you on your journey of design that was not really available for you and was a major shift in your journey as a designer or architect?
I think having all these options or all this catalog to choose from, the time that you can create all these projects has been reduced for the 10th of the time, so you get the opportunity to work on more projects.
Mm-hmm.
Some projects that we think, it will be really hard to make, now with those tools and with like file to factory, with all the digital fabrication tools that we have, it will help us also like destroy all these barriers that we have, like in engineering or in architecture, trying to push boundaries, not just in like at the end, the machine is going to do what you ask it to do.
Yes.
So the more we push the machine to do, the more we're going to invent machines that they're going things that we're not sure that we needed it. And somehow I believe by pushing these boundaries, like they told me to be able to wrap the tubes around the center, they had to create a machine that got the right angle of the tube to be able to wrap it around the center. But the architect didn't know that this machine existed, and then he designed the
whole, okay.
He designed it, he pushed the limits, and then we created machine to do the idea, and we created machine to how to say
to be part of that,
to make it real, absolutely, to make it real.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they say like technology is here to make our life easy, as we can see, and more playful as well.
Exactly.
And for that, I would like to thank you again, Tarek, for the great speech.
Thank you so much.
And for sharing this with everyone. Please help me thank him again for the speech. Thank you so much, Tarek. So when we say public places, we are not only speaking about public places for having fun. Public places is where we can socialize, we can connect to the nature, and it's a place we can express ourselves very freely. And but there is a very kind of a sad news that these public places are in a decline. And our next speaker, he's really want to talk about this challenge or an issue that we're facing with public places, because he believes on the importance of having public places for fun and being more playful as a kid or maybe as an adult as well. So please help me welcome to the stage for our next speaker, he's the founder and CEO of Heroes MR. He's please help me welcome on the stage, Mr. Lookas Deman.
Hello, merhaba, hello, good evening, hello, hi, 3 applauses, great. So, welcome. Woo! Oh my God, I love you. Okay, welcome, my name is Lookas Deman, and I'm from Belgium. I don't know, who has been to Belgium before? Oh, wow, so many people. Okay, it's a very small country, so you walk and then, whoop, there's no more country. But still, there are many different people. I live both in Belgium and in Holland, in Amsterdam. My company's in Amsterdam. So when I come back home, which is almost only at Christmas time, my uncle, I have this one uncle, who always asks me, Lookas, what is it again that you do? He doesn't understand. He works with cars, and that is clear. So I always tell him, well, you know, I am the CEO and artistic director of company New Heroes, but I'm also a TV host. I'm also a theater. Actually, I'm this. This is who I am, you know. And then he doesn't understand. It's too much. So I always say I'm a creator. That is what I do. I professionally create. That means that I create and that sometimes people pay me for it. Not always, very difficult job. But this is what I do. Professionally being creative. My company is called Company New Heroes. And I already got a lot of questions by people, what do you mean with new heroes? What is wrong with the old hero? Or who is the old hero? It's not my father, let me tell you that. An old hero is like Superman, you know? Superman, he's great, he's wearing these strange clothes, but he looks good, and he's always self-assured. He's always confident, he has superpowers. He is better than a human. That is an old hero. The new hero is human. That's the difference. I am a human person. That means that sometimes I'm strong, sometimes I'm weak. Sometimes I feel very assured, sometimes I doubt, or I have fears. A new hero understands that he has fears, but he knows that the other person also has fears. Like I told some of the students here, no, I am sometimes afraid and insecure. And then you meet people who go like, oh, I know everything, and it's not true. Nobody knows everything. Nobody is super in control. Everybody is looking, searching, and almost everybody is insecure. Why? Because we don't have final answers. We don't know the truth, you know? Scientifically, Stephen Hawking, you all know him, proved that there's no one beginning. Life is very complicated, and you can believe a lot. Religion is amazing, for example, but we don't know exactly who is right and not. And that makes us people constantly looking and searching. And what I really like about humans is that we will never know, and that's why we need each other to constantly look and search and try and do. So my company is called The New Heroes, aka Humans. So, we are a professional creative company. Everybody in my company is creative. We do 3 things. Storytelling, and that means that we make movies and theater, and that we make TV shows. We do also concepts, like companies or people ask us to help be more creative. And we have a new thing called bio-based creations. I will come to that in a few minutes. All right. So what did we do the last few years? 11 years my company exists. We did over 45 projects. Why? Because we have way too much energy, and we did it in many countries because Belgium is so small that you take one step and you're in a different country. Okay, so I want to talk with you about the public space. Yeah, this beautiful festival, compliments to the organizers, is about play, about public space, and making sure that people engage with each other. For me, a public space is a space where public can come. That's a public space where you're allowed to come as public. Can be inside, outside, but you're allowed as public to come. There's no rules for people like, you can come, but you can't come. A public space is where people can come. And we are losing public space in the world, right? There used to be way more. People just meet each other. We are losing it. Why is public space so important? Because you meet people that you never met before, that maybe think different from you, right? Internet should be a public space. What do social media do? They make you in a bubble. Everything you think and you like, the people around you also think and like. Social media makes you afraid of the things you don't know, the people that are different from you. In the public space, there's no difference. Everybody lives on this earth, people meet each other. So we need places where people can meet each other, right? The goal of my company, we do so many different things, but we have one goal. The goal is to make sure that people encounter themselves, the others, and the world. If you encounter someone else, you encounter a little bit of you. That is what happens. If I meet someone I don't know yet, that person shows me a little bit of me that I did not know yet. It's like when you travel. Most of you have traveled. You travel, you see another place, it confronts you with you, right? So if you're afraid of other people, it tells something about you. So if we want to make sure that you become a whole person, an interesting person, you have to meet other people, other cultures, you have to meet the world. That is why we need a public space, and we as artists, as creators, try to enhance that. So what we do is we have a story that we want to tell, we choose the right form that we want to tell the story in, and we ask the audience to participate. Always. Why? Our background is from theater. We believe that if people engage, they feel more together. If they just have to watch, they will go like, boring, go home. Okay, so let me show you a few of our projects. I'm going to do 2 things, work in public space and work that create public space. In public space, just a few things. This was a hospital in Rotterdam, and a lot of people working into the care, you know, like nurses and doctors, they work so hard and nobody sees them. You know, people always think it's normal that people help me. It's not normal. So we said, see me. It says, see me is Dutch for see me. The whole hospital put out their lights, and you could only see for whole weekend, see me. Know that I exist. This was We Light Amsterdam. This was 1,000 people who gave their lights like this, that they have beside their bed, and we put it together in this We Light Amsterdam. The idea was, the city exists because of the people, not vice versa. Then this, by the way, is our world record. We are so proud of it, because this is the biggest cookie mosaic in the world. Damn you, yes, yeah, yes. This is 20,502 cookies that were baked with a lot of bakers, children, people, everybody worked together. This is where our airport is. So what you see, if you look good, is an airplane that goes up. There used to be farmers. The farmers were kicked out, and now it's only for industry, so you're not allowed to come there anymore. There were 5 villages. They were all removed. So we said we have to remember where we come from. The past It's very important to understand the present to get to the future. So we worked with all the farmers, with the people. We baked cookies for days. Then we had the world record, and then we gave the cookies away so people could eat it, so no cookie was left behind. This is our pigeon. This is our peas, dove, right? This is 1,000 pillows that people were selected because there was a festival about peace, and everybody was talking about there in the world and there in the world, and we said, no, no, no. There's also peace in your head, right? In your family. You need to get along with each other in your family, but in your own head. And where do you lay your head every night? On your pillow. That is where you go. If you're feeling good, you sleep well. If you have worries, you don't sleep well. So 1,000 people gave their pillow, and we created this dove. This is 10 meters high, 50 meters wide, and it could drive around on the festival with 1,000 people together. Again, we also make installations where the people are the installation, like this one. This is a sentence. It says, it is up to you, me, us. If we want to do something, I have to do it, you, and we have to do it together. Only then things can happen. This is 750 people making this sentence on the beach in Belgium. This is a whole beach. We have no more beach than this because our country is so small. The question mark you've already seen, this is our symbol. It is a burning question mark. Not being afraid to not know. Every creation starts with, I have no idea. And you also know, so let's go together. You know a little bit, I know a little bit. Everything is a puzzle. So we made in Skopje, Macedonia, with 500 people from every different background. Because they have a lot of problems with different background people. We put them together, we said, we have no idea together. And then we put the lights out of the square except for that one store because that guy was not nice. Okay. I was going to use words that I cannot use. Okay. So, now works that create a public space, right? Because this was in public space that we do things. It's playful, people participate, people come, people join. It has beautiful images, right? Now we also create works that create a public space. I'm going to give you a few examples. These are just some installations that we did. You know, we do installations, people can participate, people can come. I give you a few examples. Yes. The Eye project. I'm very proud of this project because it took many years for us to do. The Eye project, we wanted a project where you can go in a seat. Actually, this was my first idea. What if a building could cry? That was my idea. I was walking in the park, I was seeing all these buildings, and they look so strong, these buildings. And I was feeling so small. And I was like, what if this building can cry? Then I would feel like the building understands me, you know? The city consists out of building. No, the city is people. So we said, but the crying, the tears was difficult, so we made it eyes, right? So we built huge eyes, and you could sit in a chair, right? And the chair was pushed out of the building, and you were hanging in the air. Where's my laser? I have a laser. Woo! So you were hanging in the air, looking at the city through the eye. For the people who like philosophy, your soul is behind your eyes, right? That's the whole thing. If you look through the eyes, you can see someone's soul. So the idea was, let's sit behind the eye, look at the city. And then the eye closed, and then you had an animation. So the eye closed, and then you could see a film about people living and people being. We have 5 different eyes. These are real eyes of people. I mean, a picture of real eyes of people. Some people are like, oh my God, in Europe they have such a big eyes. No, this is... This is with a super lens by Canon that we have real eyes, 5 different eyes. We hang them on buildings one by one. You sit in it, and the whole story is feeling seen. A lot of people have the feeling they don't see me. Nobody sees the real me because people don't look. Because if you look, you're afraid of what you might see. Even in relationships, in love, a lot of couples talk, but they don't really look at each other because that means that you have to look at yourself, right? This whole project was about don't be afraid to look through your own eyes at yourself so you would look at the world. This is called Sketch, this project. It's very simple. We asked people, we could do it, for example, here with architects and writers and designers. We asked people, what do you want to change in your city? What do you miss from the early days or miss because you want it? And then people could have an architect sketch it for you. We hang it inside the sketch. It was made out of paper. And then we have an exposition because of the sketch. You see, so inside the sketch, you make an exposition. And then we had the people of the council of the city. We did this everywhere in Europe. They come and they get a lecture about what people miss in their city. Because politicians, you know, do they listen to the people or not? They try. It's not always easy. But if you give the people a hand to draw out their ideas, you can do amazing things. So, now I want to talk to you about the last project. This is bio-based. What is bio-based? The bio-based means that everything you use comes out of nature. I'm going to tell you why. We've been making so many installations, so many cool things, and then we decided, hey, we are throwing away so much garbage, right? Us, as artists, we are creating temporary installations and then we throw them away. This is not good. We have to rethink our materials. So we said, what if we're going to use biological materials? If everything we use comes from nature and can go back to nature when we don't want it anymore. So last week, we opened this. This is made out of mushrooms. The walls are mushrooms. This bench, where's my laser? This bench is rice. So when you harvest the rice and the plant that is left, this bench is completely made out of rice. Yeah? So the walls are made out of mushrooms. This is the first time ever that a building has walls completely made out of mushroom. We had no idea this existed 2 years ago. When we decided we want to create new materials, we worked together with designers, with engineers, with all kinds of people. We said, guys, we don't know, but we have a dream. And they all said, we know a little bit. And then we did workshops, and then we created a new product. This is acoustically amazing. And this, now comes the good part, you can grow this in 2 weeks. If you don't need it anymore, you throw it in the garden, and it disappears. So this is next level. This is the inside. Who thinks this is beautiful? I think. Okay, I see 5 hands. No. And so this is the inside of the pavilion. The roof is made out of cotton. The inside is what you see is wood with the mushrooms. And then you have this plant. But the floor is completely made out of plants. So this whole pavilion, you can go throw it back to nature, and it dissolves again if you don't want it anymore. Right? Our idea was, what if we do this? The audience, and this is the great thing, because I see some of you thinking, where's the participation? Here it is. We can harvest our own pavilion. So we grow mushrooms, and the people come in, and they take the mushrooms off, they go home, they make risotto, or mushroom soup, or whatever they can do with the mushrooms. It's normal mushrooms for people who are thinking, normal mushrooms, right? And they can harvest our own pavilion. So this is, people helped us building this. We created something that never existed, and people can use it again. Why? Because we asked the most important question, and that is, who can help us? Because we don't know. That is the essence if you want to be creative. Make sure that you don't think I can handle it myself, and understand that all the rest can help you because they're all insecure. But if we're insecure together, we can do great things. Thank you so much.
That was great energy, exceptional speech, and
Thank you.
inspiration, very inspirational projects, Lucas.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I would like to first ask you a question. What is the inspiration? Like, how the inspiration comes for all these projects?
All my inspiration comes from the fact that I know that one day I'm going to die. And between that moment and now, I have no idea. So I feel like, let's find out what we can do, you know. And I have an amazing team. Some of them are sitting there. They gave a workshop to some of you. I have an amazing team. And we decided 11 years ago when we began, we decided there will be no boundaries in what we can do except for our own fear. And we have the fear, but we try to overcome it by sharing the fact that everybody has that fear.
Yes, and I can very clearly tell that there's a lot of philosophical thoughts around all of the projects we have seen, and that gave a lot of depth of what you are doing. That's really great. But I would like to leave a space for the attendee if they have any kind of questions to share for our great speaker.
There's one.
Yes, please. Where is the volunteer?
Volunteer.
Volunteer.
We lost our volunteer.
Where is our volunteer?
Oh, there, sorry.
Okay.
Crossing the
Thank you. Is this on? The mushroom house was just amazing.
Thank you.
What happens when it rains?
Well, first of all, it's in Holland, so it rains every day. Actually, the water, I don't know if I can show it, go back, but the water is being captured inside of the pavilion. So actually you get this beautiful waterfall that comes from the roof into the pavilion. It gives water to the plants and then goes out again to the grass field.
Wow.
Yeah. This has been engineered. I really like there are 20 companies who work together with us. The only thing we did is we put them together and asked questions they never thought of. Because we said, is this possible with mushroom? And they said no. And then we said, but if we try, and then we tried and tried and tried. I had at a certain moment so much mushrooms in my house that my girlfriend said, and now it's done. You know, put it somewhere else. With no more mushrooms in the house. You know, we tried a lot. That is the answer.
That's great.
You also had a question.
Hey,
yeah, hi.
Thank you for the talk. It was very inspirational. My question is, how do you come up with these ideas and what inspires you?
The answer is everything. It can be inspirational. I think that I don't come up with ideas. Either they come up to me, and I'm like, I have to work again. Or people give us an assignment. People ask us, can you do this? And I told the students later, I never done the same thing twice. Never. We've never did a project that we already did. I think financially it would be better if we keep repeating the same project, but we never did. So I never made a movie, so we made a movie. I never made a documentary, so we made a documentary. I never wrote a book, so we wrote a book. So everything we never done, but only when the story is there. So if we have it begins with a story. If you have a story to tell, then you find the right form for it. But we like it when we never done it before, because then we have no idea. Trust me, with the pavilion, we had no idea. There's a wall way in the back. I can see you because you're waving. Can I say something while she's walking?
Sure.
We are so amazed. We had a workshop, and 22 of you joined us, especially women were. We're so amazed by the level, the high level of the people that worked with us. Mm-hmm. And I really am glad to see that the intelligence level of the people here is so high, that is so much thought, there's so much knowledge here, that I see a great future for your country, really.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you.
Especially the women.
Thank you again.
It's true. Sorry, it's true.
Hi. So first of all, thank you very much. It's really inspirational, as everybody's told you already. One question is, do you ever face a no answer? Like somebody telling you can't do this?
Every day, 10 times a day.
No, and how do you handle it?
Look, you always get a no, right? Even I say no's. The no mean either fear or knowledge. No's mean it can be done because I already know, but I never believe that because it can't be done because it's not done until now, right? If you believe that, I think people always begin with a no, most of the people. So I don't let myself be pushed down by it. But that also means that I have to look further. I have to make sure that they think with us. Like, for example, the pavilion, we got a lot of no's. No, you cannot put the mushroom outside. No, you cannot put it like this. No, 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 no. So we said, let's try. The question is, did I have projects that failed? Yes, I didn't show them. But most of the project did not fail because we really tried and really had the feeling that it worked. So I think if your beginning question is intuitive and it's right, the no's are not a problem. If you're just doing something, the no's are probably right. So it starts with intuition. Yes, and trying and trying and trying and failing and trying.
Thank you so much, Lookas,
Oh, we
for
have
the
to
great.
stop.
Thank you so much, and please help me thank him again for this great session. Thank you so much. Our journey with different things in life has took different shapes and different approaches as technology is really getting into our life. For example, before shopping, we go to a specific shop and we get our things, isn't it? And then we have another approach to go to the tailor and have our own design and then ask them to help us getting our own clothes. But now these days, things is really changing. Now within one bottom of print, we can have our dress with the 3D printer technology. And this is something very soon. I've seen it. There's the first runaway show that happened, I think, 2 years ago, and the 3D printers, and there was a really great special dresses for that. And our next talk is gonna be focused on the fashion industry, and this is for maybe you girls more. The fashion industry is having really different era that is entering within the technology. Our next speaker will specifically talk about that, about the digital workflow in the fashion industry regarding to a virtual prototype and automation. Please help me welcome on the stage to talk more about the fashion industry, Mr. Michael and Victor, the founders of the Yokai Studio.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
Welcome to our talk about Industry 4.0 in fashion. We are Yokai Studios, a young tech startup from Austria, also a very tiny country. We heard it before. Yeah, we are deeply rooted in research and the use of new technologies in order to design, create, show and produce garments. My name is Michael, I'm 27 years old. I'm a former mechanical engineer, studied design and worked as a designer in the fashion industry.
My name is Victor. I'm the other co-founder of Yokai Studios. I am an artist and I have a background in electric engineering. We both have a good background when it comes to technology, and this is one of the main things why we are working together on our fashion vision. This is all about Industry 4.0, which brings us actually to the first question that we have here. What is Industry 4.0? So I know that many of you already know more than me or myself about Industry 4.0, but just to have a short overview, let's say it's about connecting systems and making sure that different systems are able to talk to each other, and things come up in your mind with like big data or smart internet, which is all deep rooted in the Industry 4.0. So also in our daily life, cars which can drive alone are already getting implied a lot. And when it comes to fashion, which we are talking about now, there are systems that we can use for creating designs more efficient in the future. And there we are especially going to talk about simulation of virtual garments and about additive manufacturing, because these two things are that where we work on the most. So let's have a look how it impacts the fashion industry now.
Yeah, I'm going to describe you the impact of simulation software in fashion industry. We see this animated chart, and I'm going to use the laser. You see on the left side, this is the state-of-the-art process of sampling a garment in the fashion industry. And on the right side, you see the more linear movement. That's the way of doing it with simulation software. So I'm describing the state-of-the-art process to you. As I worked as a designer on my own, I know it very well. So designers get the source materials from the company, and then they start designing. They are doing technical drawings, pattern makers do the patterns, and the developers do the tech specs, which they then send to the production sites in Far East. And these guys, they are try to use all this gathered information to do a first real sample. They then box it and send it all the way back to the company, and they then review the sample. Most of the times, it isn't very accurate the first time. So they have to repeat this process up to 6 times, and they have an average sample lead time of 37 days from design to final product. That's over a month. It takes a lot of time, and with the use of simulation software, they're going to speed up the process to 27 hours. That's because designers, developers, and pattern makers in-house at the garment, in the fashion label, they sit together, design, sample in a 3D software, and when they are satisfied with the outcome, they just send one final tech back to the production site in Far East and then get just one sample back. And you see the sample adoption rate in the state-of-the-art process is 15% per sample, while you have a sample adoption rate of 55% with simulation software.
So let's sum the benefits up shortly. First of all, it's much more sustainable than the way it was used to be done before, because we don't need to have all these samples and we don't have to send these pieces around the world like many, many times. Then it also allows the fashion brands and also the small designers which are working with this 3D technology to react smaller to trends, because the times are so much shorter than they are used to be. It's also great to have only one final example, like Michael explained, because it sums it up much, much faster, but it also has another very important aspect. It brings us to the point that we can use these animations and the looks that are created of this virtual garment for showcasing them and for being able to advertise the fashion designs, even they have not been already been produced, they can be promoted already with these virtual garments. So we are going to look now at some examples where this virtual prototyping is already used quite frequently. The first example, Michael will talk about.
Yeah, what you see here is a shoe that's actually a rendering done by a Munich-based design studio, Ike Sponsor, for Nike. As many of you may know, renderings are used quite frequently already in furniture or architectural user case. But through the increase of computational power, it's possible nowadays to simulate garment properties, fabric properties. So the real physical behavior of the garment is we are able to simulate with this software. And as you can see on this picture, the outcome of the fabric is really nice, even though that it's not a real picture, it's a rendering. The next example I'm going to show you is the first only digital dress that sold at an auction for breathtaking $9,500 this year. It's done by Dutch fashion label The Fabricant. It's the first only digital fashion label in the world. Their credo is only digital, never physical. So and that brings me directly to my third example, which is online retailer Carlings. They picked the idea of The Fabricant and brought it to the masses. They are offering a virtual collection on their website, which you can purchase. And what you're doing there is you're uploading a picture. The 3D designers at Carlings are dressing your picture in the desired pose you took, and they send the picture back to you, and you can use it for Instagram or send it to a friend.
Yeah. So to see this with the simulation software, we have a small comparison now in the background where we did a simulation of a piece of clothes, garment that we were creating, and we compared it to a real picture. And as you see, and I'd like you to have a special look at the foldings on the arms or at the trousers. It's like you see, it's really close to the movement on the left side from the real picture, and this is very, very interesting for the design process itself, because it allows us not only to create a picture which can be sold or send it to friends like in Carlings, it also allows us to create animations where we can see how these clothes are going to behave when these dresses are worn. So you know, as a designer, you normally wouldn't have the opportunity to see how the garment will be moving in the end, and you could not react on the purpose that it's made for. So if you would do something like sportswear, you could look how this garment is behaving when somebody is running, and you could make design choices so that it's optimized for the purpose this garment is being meant. So to show you this now, we're going to show you a short animation of a company called التق in Sweden, where animation video was done with this technology where we took part in. Just
enjoy the clip.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not able to dance in real life. Okay, we introduced you to the highly developed front end in order to design and show garments, but we at Yokai, what we are actually focused in and what our research is focused in, we are trying to find the interface of all this gathered 3D data and implement it into production. Of course, we are also using this simulation software to design, to prototype, and to show our garments, but we are really trying to find the interface to use this data for production. So for this, we are using industrial robots, so-called 6-axis industrial robots. You may ask yourself now why these guys are using an industrial robot. Probably it's easier to use a CNC machine, but we want to be able to have like this 6 axis of freedom to be able one day to produce a garment in the 3D space. I'm going to show you now a clip where I will talk over a bit and describe the steps that are happening. The clip shows the production of a shirt we did for an event that happened in December 2018. We dressed the speaker of the event, Forum Creative Industries, and I'm going to lead you through the video. Yeah, first of all, of course, as a designer, you need to have an idea in your head. That's the creative human part of the process. You sketch, you gather materials you want to use. Then we took a scan of our participant in order to get all the textures for the showcase purpose later. We did a body scan to get the exact measurements of the body. And then we used 3D modeling software to extract pattern pieces out of the body. Used the flattening algorithm later to bring it back to the 2D in order to produce it with our robot. Here you can see now the robot connecting the pattern pieces together. It's a 3D print technology we modified. And the finishing we are still doing by hand to give it like the last human touch. Next, you're going to see the first fitting of the garment we did. As you can see, it really fits the body nicely, of course, because we took the exact measurements out of a 3D scan in order to produce that garment. Yeah, and because we used the 3D scan of the body, we've been able to use the same 3D data to produce a short animation clip as well to advertise the event. So what you're going to see next is the short advertisement for the event, where our participant did an epic backflip, also something he's not able to do in real life. As you can see now, he was really satisfied with us doing him a backflip, actually. Yeah, that was our process. This is how the garment looked like at the night event. So spot the best dressed man on the picture. Yeah.
Yeah. And here, now we are talking about the seams. As we mentioned, we are trying to work on the three-dimensional space. So we are developing a method how to apply seams in the 3D space. Here you see the robot moving on this mannequin and making a seam on a 3D puppet. And for us, it's not only a way how to connect to garments, it's for us also a very important design element to have this seams. So as you see up front in the ahead of the graphic, you see some visualizations of things we are working on, and this was one of the first trials where we did the 3D seams. And it's very, very interesting for us because every time when the manufacturing of clothes had a new step or a new technique how to make clothes, it was always something which were able to be brought into the design speech. So therefore we are thinking about using it a lot for a design speech which might develop in a future where we can use these technologies. We are not only able to apply a seam on garments. With our method, we are also having a print installation where we can use a robot to apply prints like this on a t-shirt on garments. For that, we're going to show you a short video now for 1 minute. For those of you who would like to see the robot doing this live, you got the option here at the ITRA Tanween Festival, because down at the plaza we have our robot printing installation where we are going to print on T-shirts live. So everybody is invited to drop by. We will be here until 9 and print ITRA related textiles, graphics on T-shirts. So thank you first of all for listening. We are very happy that we are able to present our ideas here. And
thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Michael and Vector, for this great. Please, for this great presentation. It's happened with a really revolutionizing how we are designing these days. And I was thinking with Lama if we can do a backflip design for a very controlled abaya. That would be a very interesting proposal for you for next time.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's open the floor for the attendee if they have any questions. For Michael and Vector. And also, to remind them, they're still here till 9. They're having a workshop to print T-shirts with Ethra logo. Any question? We have it here back.
Grüß euch. Willkommen in Saudi-Arabien.
Hi.
Hello.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, a little bit. So I see a lot of potential when it comes to shopping. So instead of trying clothes on, actually having these simulations, is that some application that you're also looking into? And also, a kind of a side question is this market for one, in terms of customization and offering that option to companies that would fabricate, very exclusively for somebody who's body scanned. Thank you.
Actually, that's our main approach. We try to focus mainly on customization. We are not looking into another way of mass production. So we try to focus on developing a method that's really focused in enabling local, small or mid-sized labels to produce their garments again, and also in individualization and customization.
Which is also a quite important aspect when it comes to this, because we are aiming for an on-demand production, not an upfront production of masses before, because a lot of CO2 is put out in the manufacturing of clothes. It's I think it's like 10% of the global CO2 output every year is just in this fashion fabrication, how we do it this way, and this is actually something where we should find ways to get smaller impacts for our future altogether. And that's the reason why we're trying to develop systems which are working on demand, so I can have like a high quality garment with individual measurements produced when I really need it, and in the best case also with materials that are local sourceable. And we are developing these methods now in Europe and connect a lot to the other states, and are also part of a European project where we are developing the best way of creating the seams now for the next 9 months. There will be infos about this coming up soon, but we think that's the way where it should develop the fashion. Hopefully we were able to answer your question, and it's really nice that you are able to speak German that unbelievably well. Thank you.
We still have room for another question, if someone has. We have it here, but yes.
Hi, I was just curious about the simulations that run. Are you able to have your clients say, well, I want it to be springy, or I want this one to be stiff, and can you mix this one with silk, and I want this piece to be cotton? And is that all possible with the simulations?
Yeah, actually the very impressive thing on this simulation and why it's really that accurate is that every material that you're using there has its own properties. So you can really simulate silk, how it's moving. You can simulate cotton, how it's moving, leather or whatever you are using in this method. So you can also have a garment or material which you produced yourself, and there's a system where you can measure out all the properties that you need so that you can have a real representation, not only on the colors and the texture, so also about the physical movement of this systems. That's a very, very important step to do this, and the simulations can be super accurate. The more detail you go into, sure, the longer it takes, the higher the resolution is in the end. But there are really, really impressive outcomes coming, and there are many things like stores, like let's say Zalando or whatever, they're having like a representation of the clothes when you shop it on the internet, which are not really real clothes that they photographed, they are already rendering. So it's going to be like this. So it's really realistic when it comes to this. And maybe also animation in this, yeah.
And it's very special how you adapt the technology from the very beginning when doing the measurement till the very end. And that was very great talk to tell us more about how the revolution happening in the fashion industry. We'd like to thank you again of being here. And again, they're having a workshop. Don't forget that. Yeah. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. We're impressed with you. Thank you.
So today we talked about public places, and there was a great inspiration, like projects in that. We talk about also the fashion industry, and now we are going to move to another field. We are going to talk about music. Who is here playing any kind of instrument music with a show of hands? I see here one. What do you play? Guitar? Okay, that's great. Another one? No? And you? Piano? Oh, I think you are 6 or 7 or 8. Okay, we have a very little pianist here in the crowd. That's great. So I want to talk more about music. Music, when you read more about it and how it has really effects in our brain, it builds really different neural connection. So our brain becomes very active when we learn music, when we play music. And that's how musicians really kind of have a different approach of creativity reflected in their way of thinking. Our next speaker has 2 questions for you from his experience with music. The first question is, what if we can transform a piece of poetry into a musical piece using the science of number? The second question is, what if there is a relationship between our taste in music, our taste in colors, food, and geometries? These questions will be revealed and answered by our next speaker, who is a pianist and a composer, a founder of Beirut Speaks Jazz. Please help me welcome our next speaker, Tarek Yamani.
مرحبا تست مرحبا سوري أنا بس بدي أتأكد أوكي Oops, sorry. What is the sound of a rectangle? You've all heard of Pythagoras, the father of geometry. This guy was really onto something because he observed things that are just incredible 2,500 years ago. So what he noticed, and he was the first to notice this, was that if you know how music is basically a vibration, right? So if we have a string, a guitar or oud string, music is made by the string vibrating. And we all think that it's just a vibration. But what Pythagoras noticed 2,500 years ago is that a string the sound that we hear from the string is not actually coming just from the string itself, from the vibration of the whole string. The string is actually vibrating, like you see in the second line, as if there's an imaginary node in the middle of the string, and it's vibrating at exactly the same frequency on both sides. And not only that, it's also as if it's dividing into 3 different segments with 2 different notes, and all 3 are vibrating at the same time. And 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 up until infinity. So we have so many different vibrations that get smaller and smaller, and every time it gets smaller, the sound gets higher. It gets like sharp, and then we stop hearing it. And it's the addition of all these sounds, all these what we call overtones or harmonics, the addition of these sounds is what our fabulous ear, which is an incredible organ, it translates these sounds, it adds all of them together and makes us hear the illusion of one fundamental note, which we hear as the fundamental note that we actually think we're hearing. So that ratio, these are called overtones, and this is the overtones in musical notation, and it just goes on forever. This is just the very first, okay? And then on the second line, we have what we are see here, octave, perfect fourth, minor third. These are intervals. What is an interval in music? It's if I play 2 notes at the same time, I make an interval. If I play only 1 note, that's just 1 note. When I play another note, I'm making an interval. And this interval is called a perfect fourth because it's a fourth apart. For example, that's the national anthem of Lebanon. And a lot of national anthems start with a perfect fourth. So a perfect fourth have a ratio. What does it mean? It means that the ratio of the note that is up, this one, against the ratio that is down, which is this one, is 4/3. Meaning this note vibrates 4/3 the times of the note downstairs. Okay? And then every interval here has a ratio. So we have a lot of different intervals. For example, I'm going to choose the perfect fourth, as you see, is 4/3. A perfect fifth is 3/2. That's a perfect fifth. For example, a minor 7, that's the sound of a minor 7. That's a 16/9. So when I was looking at these intervals, I couldn't help but notice that there are ratios that I see in other places other than music. For example, you probably, if you are aware of aspect ratios and screens, you have probably now noticed the same thing. The screens of TV screens and computer screens are mostly either 5/4 or 4/3 or 3/2 or 1/1. 1/1 is a square, or 16/9, which is the YouTube version. Now, the latest YouTube video is 16/9. So when I looked at that, I was like, this is really crazy. Like, it's definitely coincidence because they definitely didn't make the screen ratios because that's the interval in music. And that raised the question, our perception of beauty really innate? Like, do we see beauty? Something sounds beautiful. Does it mean that it also looks beautiful? In that case, which means that if I have 2 different spices that are in terms of frequency, if we can measure the frequency, are 3/2, we're probably going to like the taste then. And it's the same with maybe sense of touch, but we still didn't get there. So this is how the idea of what is the sound of a rectangle came to me. So for example, I'm going to put this a little bit into action, and that's for fun. For example, this is Happy Birthday. Happy Birthday, the intervals are a unison, and then a second, and then a second, and then a fourth, and then a third. So, okay, so this unison, that's a second, that's another second but down, that's a fourth, and that's a minor second, okay? So if I put these ratios like we saw before, so I see that the unison is 1/1, the fourth is 4/3, and etc. If I put them in terms of rectangles, I'm going to get, this is like as if we're playing Happy Birthday, but in rectangles. And this has also sparked another idea in me. There are people who probably have difficulties maybe because they have a different brain circuitry that is wired in a way that they have a problem reading letters maybe, but they are very, very good at visuals and at colors and at shapes. So we could actually write music for these people. So we can train them to see rectangles, and then they can actually directly hear the sound. So this would be happy birthday in rectangles, and the difference in colors, it means that green is go up, which is like, and then orange is go down, so we go down. So this is like a method of composing music. And then this is by the way, the cover of my album. It's called Lisan al-Tarab. So this is a series of album in a chord, which is the major chord. So that's the major chord right there. And here I made another chord. That's a C7 chord. A C7 chord is a very bluesy chord. I'm going to give you an example of what blues is. You're going to directly be familiar. It's like saying, you recognize the sound. And this chord, this is the main chord of the blues scale. So if I have to put a chord, a C7 chord in rectangles, I'm going to get this kind of shape. And it actually looks good. And it's funny because it's, to me as a musician, as somebody who's inside this world, I look at this I look at this series of pictures, and I actually feel it sounds like a C7 chord. So now, how is this related to rhythm, which is my main passion, is rhythm. And here I noticed that the relationship between a 3/2 ratio in interval is very much related to a 3/2 ratio in rhythm. So a 3/2 ratio in rhythm means that every 3 notes, every 3 beats, there are 2 beats that are played at the same time. This would sound like this if I'm playing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. So the sound, that's the sound of a 3/2. It's very African. And there, as we saw before with Pythagoras, that 3/2, these are 2 waves that are the exact length, but they are vibrating at 3/2 a ratio. So this is the 5th. And this is the rhythm that I just played. Now what I'm going to show you is that I found a way to prove that actually rhythm is harmony and harmony is rhythm. What is harmony? Harmony is just playing chords under a melody. And then, so harmony is made up of many notes. And then I'm going to show you now a rhythm that sounds like samba. And then I'm going to speed it up so fast. Think about the cinema. Cinema is called motion picture. Cinema actually is an illusion, right? Because what you're seeing, you're looking at the film, you're seeing things moving, but what you're actually looking at is pictures that are passing by so fast that your eye can't see the break in between. So see it as the illusion of a motion picture. And it's the same with sound. So if I play a rhythm so fast that your ears stop hearing the distance between a beat and the other, it's going to start hearing it as continuous. And then we hear it as a chord. And that was, and this is going to be now a samba rhythm that when I'm going to speed it up, be careful, it's not going to be too loud, but it's just going to be maybe a little bit irritating if you have tinnitus, but I don't think anybody of you have tinnitus here. It's gonna become a minor chord, and I'm gonna show you on this keyboard how it is a minor chord. So that's the samba. Gonna make it really slow for now. So here we have, if you notice, we have many different rhythms. Now we have to put it up a little bit. Sorry, put it up a little bit, please. So we have ka 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 ka. This is playing the 5, and then you have ka ka ka. Then ka 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 ka. This is the main, and now I'm gonna speed it up, and you're gonna hear a minor chord. Okay, I'm just gonna take it out just so you relax your ears. Okay, so now we're gonna hear it again, and you're gonna hear actually, you're gonna hear this. I mean, on the piano it sounds very beautiful. Here it doesn't sound as beautiful, but these notes, When I sped them up so fast, they are now vibrating at a frequency that, for example, here it's 330 hertz means 330 times per second. So 330 times per second, any sound that you find in nature, if you can play it at 330 times per second, you will hear the note of that sound. So here, everything is playing so fast that it sounds like this chord. So you can hear it? Nobody hears it? Should I put the piano up a little bit? Maybe I should put the piano up. Just for a second. So focus. Stay with me. Stay with me and you will hear it. Okay, it's pretty obvious. Okay, and now the fun thing is that when now we have this chord, and then I'm gonna slow it down again, and then we come down from a chord to an actual rhythm, and it's like we're going from universe to another. It's pretty crazy. And now finally, our ear is hearing the difference between the notes, and now, okay, it's a rhythm, but there's no way we can hear it. So I actually believe that because first there was rhythm and then there was melody and harmony, I believe that it took tens of thousands of years for humans to start hearing the harmony out of the rhythms they were playing back 40, 50,000 years ago. So that's the illusion in music. And another thing that I really like to experiment with is translating poems to music, but really translating a poem to music, like letter by letter. So I took this poem by Dareen Hotait, and what I did was that I used numerology. So numerology, that's an ancient science. Every letter has a number, and it goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then it goes 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 200, 300, 400. And that's in Arabic. And the same was applied later on to English. So what I did is that I took these numbers and I put them on a keyboard by terms of half steps. So 1 represented 1 half step from C, 2 represents 2 half steps from C. And then I will get these numbers over a series of keyboard. For example, let's say Saudi. So SA. Okay, so I'd look at this pattern here. What is S? S is 100 and A is 1. So I go back to this one. Where is 100? I see 100 here. That is E. Where is the laser? So this is 100 E, and then 1 here is C sharp. So SA would make this note. Okay, so and then I did this over a whole poem, and I tried to compose music based on this. It's a little bit crazy, but I hope you enjoy it. So we're going to listen to the music now. So thank you. So every sound you were hearing with this, like subscribe, and it's all from that system. It was really a fun experiment. And in this, I was, I mean, obviously I went a little bit crazy, and I had maybe 2 weeks where I didn't have much to do. So because I also did the video, so I had to learn editing and stuff like this. But with this, I was also like trying to show the scope of composition, because composition is inspiration. But for me, composition is two things. Is half of it inspiration, and another half could also be just science, where we force ourselves to, we put rules to ourselves to use certain elements, and then we stick to them, and then we try to force that, and then some more creative juices that we would never have thought existed will all of a sudden go up, go out from us, and that's what happened with this. Thank you so much.
Wow, Tarek, this is a real innovation that I saw in everyone. That's really interesting. And I don't know, I always believe that music helps you to think differently and inspires you. And what you showed us, it's just a proof fact for that, and that's how you go with it. But I want to ask you maybe now, how the reflection of the letters to the music came into one picture for you? Like how you had this link in between.
How did I think about this?
Yes.
To be honest, I don't remember. I think I was into numerology for a while.
Okay.
So, and then I got the idea, really ideas just come, like for a creative person, you're just sleeping and you wake up, you have an idea. You just don't know how it comes. It comes from the subconscious while you're sleeping, sometimes maybe in a dream, but you don't remember the dream. So you don't know if you dreamt it or not.
Yeah, it's in your subconscious somehow.
Yeah,
somewhere.
You wake up and there's something in your head that tells you to do something.
Yes.
And I think I just got the idea randomly.
That shows how much you are so into music, and
yes,
you
life.
Live it, you breathe it.
Yeah, it's everything.
You are so into it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave the attendee if you have any questions for you to share with our very special pianist today, Tarek. If you have any question.
I think it was all clear.
It was so clear. I'm fine. Oh, we have here a question.
Thank you very much, Tarek. It was an amazing presentation.
Thank you.
Very connecting a lot of different things. In your composition, you have this code or this mapping of letters to notes.
Yeah.
What about the rhythms of these notes?
Yeah,
Did you have another system for that?
No. So what I focused on was that I put the rule that I put to myself is that every letter of the poem and its respective pitch has to be there in the chronological order, the way it appears in the poem. But then I'm free to do whatever I want with the rhythm and the harmony, So that was it. So then I'm forced to use these notes in whatever way I want.
Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure.
That push you to think more like also innovatively about the rhythm that you want to build with whatever notes you have.
Yeah, because the letters are inspiring me to do something otherwise I would not have thought about.
Yes. Actually, I was thinking the same. I was like, how this can be all together, and that's what counts.
Yeah.
Another question? Okay, we have two here. Where is our volunteer? Oh, here.
Thank you so much. That was really interesting. I was curious, when you said you found the rhythm maps to the harmony, do you find that, in your experimentation, that modern music, you find that mapping still? So you said like the samba rhythm kind of maps to a minor chord. Do you find like samba typically focuses on minor harmonies? And like same thing with blues, does it typically map to?
That's a very
perfect
interesting
fifth
question.
and perfect seventh or dominant seventh chords?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, and I asked myself this question, and I'd like to say yes, but I can't confirm it. But somehow I got the idea. It's like, because Brazilian music is very melancholic, so I asked myself this question: could it be because the samba rhythm is a minor chord? But I think we can never know. But we can ask though, and it's nice to just keep that open. Yeah.
We have you. Okay, can we have here the mic, please?
Okay, thank you very much. It
Pleasure.
was very helpful. If I want to learn music, does it take time and does it very hard to know and more about music?
How old are you?
14.
14? It's not hard. It's very easy. So do it. No, so it's really, learning music is like learning anything. Like learning to ride the bike, learning to eat. You know, do you remember when you learned to eat? You probably don't remember how long it took you, if it was hard, right? Because you were passionate about eating. You loved eating. It was required for your body to eat, so you just did it, and now you eat very well. So music is the same. Music requires just passion. You just have to be passionate. If you like it, do it, because it will reward you. So the food is a reward for the body. Music is a reward for the soul.
And also following a very inspirational pianist would be also a good idea to keep you move on through the journey of learning whatever instrument you'd like to choose learning. Thank you so much, Tarek. That was great having you here, and hope to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.